Welcome back. Let me just take you on a quick reminder of where we've been and where we're going. So where we've been, we've talked about content creation, moderation, and summaries. I'm going to cover everything on the right-hand side in this video to finish up those three topics. Then we'll cover media, translations, and a really exciting part, field updates via automations. This is a really simple automation, but it's a nice illustration of the kinds of things you can do. All right, I'm back over here on my node, and as you know, we've turned on Metatag, Suggest Title, Suggest Taxonomy Tags, and Evaluate Readability. We're going to cover those four. So I have a title, AI Revolutionizes Drupal, but if I click here and say Suggest Title, I'll select the body field and say Suggest Title. Now, the problem with these ones over here in the right is there's no way to magically paste that or save it to the editor. This is why I prefer, even though there's some overlap, this is why I prefer to put as much in CK Editor dropdown as possible. These ones are better served over here on the right. So again, I can just copy and paste that title. And that's probably a better title. Of course, human in the loop, you can decide what you want to do. So that's Suggest Title. Suggest Taxonomy Tags works the same way, but here's what's really cool. I think I mentioned this in one of the earlier videos. I don't like the tagging widget in Drupal. It's way too easy to make mistakes. Content editors can type in and add terms on the fly, and sometimes they're wrong, and sometimes they spell them wrong. And so you've got a completely confused taxonomy system. Well, this one allows you to select a vocabulary from which it can select the tags for your node. So if you have an appropriate vocabulary with all of your tags for your articles, blog posts, etc. in it, you can select it and tell it which one to choose. In this case, I've created one called Topics. You can tell it to use the full hierarchy if it has one, and then I'm going to click Suggest Taxonomy Terms. It's going to only pick terms out of that vocabulary. And indeed, there we go. Drupal AI. I can literally copy and now paste that in. And I don't mess up my tagging system. One of the things I hope they fix here soon is get rid of the double quotes and put commas between them if there are more than one. But get rid of the double quotes because, well, of course, you don't want those inside of your tag. The next one is Evaluate Readability. Now, I got to tell you, I have experienced some discrepancy here of Drupal AI's readability and, say, ChatGPT's, even though I'm using ChatGPT. It seems sometimes to say it may be a grade level or two above what ChatGPT might say. So, well, let's take a look. Go ahead and click on the body field and click Score Readability. You typically have to select the field you want the LLM to evaluate. So this has got a 79.6. It's fairly easy to read, suitable for the 7th to 8th grade students. That's really awesome. Had this returned a value of it's more at the college level, well, what could we do? Really simply, select everything from the body field and literally modify with a prompt, telling ChatGPT or whatever AI you're using to rewrite it at a more simple reading level. It works incredibly well. And again, depending on the original copy you get, you may or may not need to do that. But this is super handy. And in this case, it actually worked pretty well. So those are the items here. Suggest title, tags, and evaluate readability. Now the Metatag module as well is of course part of what we've installed. So I'm going to click on that. And typically, as I mentioned in the last video, the description comes from the node summary field. And if you recall, we use CK Editor summary feature to fill in this summary here. Now, I found that to be a little long. So let me show you quickly what I did for this. I'm just going to save that node. Configuration, content authoring, text formats and editors. And I updated the prompt just a little bit. And we'll see what happens when we redo this. I'm going to come down here to summarize, and I updated the prompt by saying limit the summary to one paragraph of no more than 150 words. Let's see if that impacts the summary that we did in the first one. And then the meta tag module will probably function a little bit better. So I'm just going to click back to Site, Edit, and I'm going to select everything in the body field and click Summarize. Now, this should produce one paragraph of no more than 150 words. And there it is. It did what we wanted. So now I'm going to copy that and paste that into my summary. Now, the 150 words might still be a little too much. And again, you can change that to whatever you want as simply as updating the prompt. So now my meta tag module is going to grab that summary. Now in the video, when we talk about automations, we're going to change that up completely and see what AI can do for us automatically without us having to do anything. And that's pretty cool as well. Also, given that we've got the meta tag module and the Metatag AI module installed, let's take a look and see what that does. I don't know if you're going to use the Metatag AI module once you see what we do with automations. The Metatag module is going to override the Metatag tokens. I'm going to scroll down. Now, in order to get this to work, you need to go into the settings for the module and put in your key separately. It doesn't use the key module, so you'll need to insert your key separately into the Metatag module settings over here in Configuration, Content Authoring, Metatag AI Settings. You can choose the content type, and of course, you'll need to go ahead and put in your key. When I click Generate Metatag, it's going to override the actual tokens and put in my title, a description. Note that the description is much shorter. Let me get my face out of the way here. An abstract, which is, again, fairly short. And then it's going to generate its own set of keywords for search engine result pages. Now, which one's better? Which one do you prefer? Well, that's up to you. In the video, when we talk about automations, we're going to create these fields automatically, and the Metatag module will be updated automatically as well. So 6 of one, half dozen of another, but remember, you have to click that in order for it to work. I do, however, really like the results I got. All right, that's enough of this video. In the next one, we'll quickly talk about media and what Drupal AI does for media, and then we'll continue on.